Yeah, what's going on, Brian?
Yeah, what's up? Hmm.
Oh, it's good.
Uh, Everything's all right. Um, the panel says skeptical theism. Um,
Yeah,
from what I've heard, there's like two kinds of skeptical theism. There's like axiological skeptical theism and another kind. Are, are you familiar with that or?
um, maybe, but can you like explain the two? Maybe it rings like a bell.
Uh, no, because I haven't like really looked into it. I've heard from like I forgot what the dude was called. It was some like he's a little nuts. He's definitely nuts, but he said that there's like two kinds of skeptical theism. There's axiological skeptical theism, and I think he said normative skeptical theism. I think he's called Doctor Truth on here.
I don't know. I mean, skeptical theism is just the idea that you
Uh,
can't infer that you can infer that from something that appears as like inscrutable evil to that it is gratuitous evil because God's reasons for allowing evil might be inaccessible to you.
yeah, well, God has some morally sufficient reason, X
Yeah, that's
or
not
30.
yeah, that's not accessible to you.
Yeah. Um, By the way, since you have like Danny as like your background picture, have you seen that one live with like him, Dr. Blitz, and Ian? Where basically some like redneck came up and they were like initially talking about like philosophy of religion, but then politics and ethics came into it, and the dude like told them like, "Where are you guys from? Since y'all look very Jewish," and the blood drained from their faces, and they immediately dropped him after he said that.
I haven't seen that. Do you have a link?
No, I was there when it happened, but I wasn't recording, and maybe somebody else was. I can ask. But that's like the funniest moment I've ever seen on their lives.
If you find like a link, make sure you send it to me.
Yeah. Mm.
Trying to get Jack in here. It should be on.
Yeah.
Make sure you invite your friends.
Yeah. Um, I'll do that. Um,
Wait, country are you guys from? You're from like Serbia or something. You and your other friends, right?
yeah. I'm Bosnian, and I live in Germany.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, typical like
That's pretty cool.
stereotype.
Now, just because you guys, I heard you speak like a Balkan language, so it
Yeah.
must have been like either Bosnian or Serbian or it definitely wasn't Albanian,
It,
but
it, it was an Albanian.
I see you guys like often on, like you and Truth Seeker and other people.
Mm. Yeah. I used to be a lot on German lives as well, but like the German community like died out.
Oh, I see.
Um,
How many German people on?
what?
I said there aren't many like German TikToks on here that talk about like religion and stuff.
There were in the past, but now the community's gone silent. Um, I have a friend. His English is like terrible, but he did like have a convo with Danny Philtalk, and he did debate with Apollo, like on like philosophy of religion.
What was his name?
Muscle.
Oh, I haven't seen him before.
Yeah, yeah. Him and Danny talked like about Descartes' argument for God.
Oh, is he good or
Muscle, yeah, he's good. I'm just not like a proponent of like the Descartes argument for God. I don't think that it's good. He does, but overall, I'd say he's like pretty good on philosophy. But he's like on theology, like on theology, he's like probably like top 5 guys I know.
Oh, I see. You should invite him to come on our like lives here in English more often.
Yeah. Um, but he has like his own version of like Descartes' argument for God. I think it was in like Descartes' third meditation that he like introduced that argument, or am I wrong?
Yeah, like what is it, like
With the innate ideas and
the innate idea one? Yeah.
yeah. Um, there's innate ideas and two other kinds. I forgot what they're called. Do you know?
There's the innate idea, and I think he gives an ontological argument as well in the
Yeah.
meditations.
Yeah, but basically Muscle runs like kind of his own like rendition of the Descartes argument where he has like a first stage argument for like establishing like a necessary being, which is basically like a modal cosmological argument. And then basically like the Descartes argument, he basically says how, God is an innate idea, and then he like introduces like the principle of like proportionate causality, where like whatever is contained in the effect must be contained within the cause in some way, shape, or form. And in the case that somebody like rejects the principle of like proportionate causality, he like introduces like possible world semantics into that. And he basically says that there's like at least one possible world where like the principle of proportionate causality is like true, and that's basically how he argues for God.
Oh, I see. Oh, Jack says he's gonna come in a few minutes. Yeah, what's going on, Marceau? Did you watch the
Venus.
movie yet?
No, I still haven't watched it. I have like so many ongoing like movies that I should watch. I'm not gonna, but I'll watch it for sure.
What movie you guys talking about?
It's The Stranger, like by Albert Camus. There's like a French movie of it.
Yeah, I started it though, to be fair, and it looks alright. I expected Merceau to look a bit different.
Yeah, welcome. Let's see. Just trying to invite people to come on.
And I think I found like
Yo, my boys.
somewhere on Reddit there's like a link for subtitles. If I find it, I'm
What's
gonna.
going on, Bobby?
Yo, Bobby, what's up?
Yo. I just spent a good chunk of my morning watching Clark and Deathless go at it for like 2 hours. It was fun.
Wait, today?
Yeah. One on I think Justin W's live and another one in Saints live. It's not about Deathless and Clark when they're in the same room. It's a work of art, honestly. It's
Oh my
beautiful.
God.
You'll never have my abs and packs. Well, when Dustless like said that, like I wish I had screen recorded that.
Dude, he says anything.
Oh no.
Nowadays, I'm becoming more like sympathetic to Theism. This is kind of crazy. Like some form of Theism.
Venus, by the way, are you like a proponent of like Jack's critique of like skeptical theism that it basically leads to global skepticism?
Yeah, I think that works. Maybe I went a little differently than Jack does.
Yeah. There's also like kind of like probability critiques where, if skeptical theism is true, then you can't like assign like probabilities to like neither good or evil or anything really. So like arguments like psychophysical harmony, homological harmony, fine-tuning, etc. Like you can't assign like any kind of probabilities onto them if like skeptical theism is true, because like you don't know what God wants. it's not accessible to you.
Right.
Oh, that's pretty good. I didn't think about it that way.
I think I heard that one on the Miles debating, like Alex Malpass, Nathan. Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Also, like FYI, like Alex Malpass, the debate that he had with like Darth Dawkins, like when I saw the two of them debate, like I felt so sorry for Alex Malpass for having to go through that.
Oh, there's a worse one, trust me. Against like, so I forgot, Matt Slick. Yeah, that interview just,
Yeah. Like
that was
I never debated with like Darth Dawkins, but I like debated with PMars on like tag, and like PMars would like not give an argument as to why God is required for knowledge, and he also wouldn't define like any of his terms, specifically like one term, self-justifying proposition. I said, what does that mean? And he said self-grounding, and I said that's just a synonym. Like, can you define the term? And then he basically said that I was doing wordplay and that I didn't want to come to the meat and
He
the
was,
potatoes of the
he
argument.
was doing the wordplay. There's no, I don't think there's a such a thing that self-grounds.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
confused.
yeah, and not just that. I, I'm a Christian actually, like, and I believe that like tag is bullshit. And like when I pressed him on, like, he said that like Jesus is like a self-justifying proposition, and I said like, what? Where did you get that idea from? And he said, well, Jesus says that he's the truth. Oh my God! When he said that, like, my eyes rolled so back into my skull that I was like blind for 3 days.
I think.
What do you
Go
what do
ahead.
you get what do you guys think about your like talking to Flint about like structural realism? I think Marcel, you were there at one point when I had this conversation, but
Well,
you wanted to say something like that. Something about that is something about God that makes him there is something about God that makes him um
what?
like um like
Intentions.
logically coherent, but is uninfluenced by God himself. I'm not too sure. Like
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that goes. I mean, like the form is something like this. Whether you call it grounding or whatever, right? That mechanism just presupposes like some relata, right? Something to be evaluated. Uh, because it goes something like X explains Y, something like that, in such a way that it's asymmetric and irreflexive. So when you try to say God grounds himself, right, you're presupposing God like as an entity or like as some relata. But that's just circular, or like it's just a description. You're not doing anything. It kind of collapses the asymmetry. So in that case, you just have like a definition of God. Nothing else is left. So like you can ask the question, in virtue of what God is identifiable, or like I don't know, the ground. And I don't think they have any answers for that. Such that if they try to say he grounds logic, or like at least identity, that means he's prior, like metaphysically prior to identity set. So either you're gonna commit yourself into a contradiction, which is gonna be God is describable and not describable at the same time, or you're just baking in identity to identify God, such that he grounds identity, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah. By the way, do you want to know like what the insane thing I heard about tag was? Some dude like said that like he wouldn't use like logic to argue for God via tag. Like, he like tried to argue for like mathematical realism and then kind of like deduce that God exists. But if mathematical realism is true, then that means that mathematical objects exist mind independently. So why would they be dependent on a necessary mind? That's like probably the worst that you can introduce.
Yeah, I don't know how they could justify such a thing. I mean, I take it to be they are like non-existent objects. That's, I mean, my view is kind of Jungian, such that there are things that don't exist. But yeah, otherwise I don't know what they do. But I'm very sympathetic to Graham Priesthood teams nowadays.
Let's see. Invite your friends, guys.
Well,
Yeah, I invited a few, but they didn't see it.
There's a new debate. Malpas had like a debate, and Muse had a debate yesterday, so there's like a lot of things to watch and to catch up on.
Venus, what do you think about the liar's paradox?
I think it's troublesome.
Like, why not accept it?
Why I don't accept it?
Mm.
I mean, what do you mean accept it? Like, think there are true contradictions?
Yeah, like some. Yeah, like, I mean, you can try to use, like, without using dialethius, some pair-consistent logic to solve it, but I would just accept it as a true contradiction. I don't have any trouble.
I mean, I have like weird views on logic, but I can tell you about it some other time.
Sure.
But, yo, Jack, what's going on?
Hey, has Danny seen this?
No, I haven't seen him in a while. Oh, actually, no, he did have it live yesterday.
No, but has he seen this
The
this
backup?
image?
Oh, no, I don't think
Yeah.
he has. He'd probably find it hilarious.
Wait, there's a background? It says the live is paused on my screen.
Yeah. I thought I was the only one. He said the live is paused.
See, for me, like it still says live is paused.
I want to ask you something. I spoke to Albedo earlier,
Yeah.
and it seems like he's obsessed with skeptical theism.
Oh, is he?
And yeah, he told me like he spoke to you a lot about it before, and there was like a few things that he brought in mind, and also just while he was talking, I got some ideas. But like what he says is he doesn't think it works because he wants to the Pandora's box thing, because he asked like even if it becomes inscrutable that God. God could have sufficient reasons to deceive you. We could still theorize about God's intentions by, going through the route of like God's practical reasons for doing something, and that
No.
could mean, and that could, that's
No, that-
would
it's not gonna
What
work.
would you say, Chalil?
Because the moral reasons can trump the practical reasons.
Could you like elaborate a little bit?
Well, what a categorical reason is, which is what I take a moral reason to be, as opposed to a practical reason, is a reason that supersedes any competing reason.
Let's just take the analogy of the projector, right? You want to say it's analogous to, I believe that there's a guy with a projector, and his intentions are inscrutable to me. And what Albedo wants to say is it's more analogous to there is a man with a projector, and I'm in the room, and it is possible that he deceives me, but I have some data about what his intentions could be. And he says that I could still have some data about God's intentions, even though I grant it's possible that God could be deceiving.
But look, the point is, do we have access to the moral reasons that guide God's character?
No, but you don't think you could have access to like non-moral reasons about
Maybe you,
God's goals or
but they
something?
would be. But the point is, there would be that whatever data you had, right? You'd have to say, well, it's likely that that there's no competing moral reason here, right? In order for that to play a role. But on what basis
Oh,
could
I see
you
what
say?
I see what
Yeah.
you're saying. So you want to say something like, obviously because God is omnibenevolent, the moral reasons trump any other reasons he could possibly have.
That's right.
And then you want to say, you want to say like, if I could only attach some practical reasons to God if I think that it's likely that God doesn't have a moral reasons to trump that practical reasons. That's what you want to say.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I see. And the second thing that popped in my head is, if you hold to something like phenomenal conservatism, why can't you say that, like, even if you grant skeptical theism, that you have an intellectual seeming about what God's goals are? Because it's not like you're inferring. It's not like you're inferring God's reasons to like a no-seeing inference.
But the thing is that in the Ollie's Orange case, you can appeal to phenomenal conservatism to say, I have reason to think that there's an orange there because it seems that there's an orange there. But you have a defeater.
No, but the defeater defeats the perceptive.
Defeater is.
But I thought the defeater undercuts the perceptual seemings, not the intellectual seemings.
So I think that it's raining outside, right? And then I think, okay, and so then I think, okay, yeah, so the fact that it seems like it's raining outside is reason to think that it's raining outside. And so then, if it's the case that I don't have reason to think, I don't have independent reason to think that God would not deceive me about that, then that's an undercutting defeater for my belief that it's raining outside.
Do you think that if you accept skeptical theism, it's going to undercut even intellectual seemings about God?
Well, because God could have a morally sufficient reason to deceive you about those things.
Yeah.
Yo, Venus.
But how is this not different just from that? There could be like a Cartesian demon who's deceiving you about intellectual things. How is those not on par now?
Well, you're starting from the idea, if you're a skeptical theist, that you're moral, that you don't have access to the reasons that guide God's conduct. That's what you're committed to. So it's kind of like being committed to the idea that there's somebody who could deceive you, like in the Ollie's Orange case. Now, what would rule out that just because Ollie could deceive you is that he is likely to be doing that? Well, yeah. Well, if you had access to his moral character, right? You had some kind of independent access to his moral character. But access to God's moral character is not independent of his having reasons, that you don't have access to. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. But is all access cut, or is it just cut through reasoning through no-seeing inferences? But there could be other routes.
Well, I think I'm taking the thesis. Look, I mean, maybe there's another thesis in the vicinity that you could adopt, right? But where we'd have to think about it. But I'm saying that what they are saying is we don't have access to the reasons that guide God's conduct. And that's why we aren't entitled to draw no-seum inferences.
Okay, I see. Have you ever read the Perry Hendricks stuff on this? Because
I read one of his papers. Which was supposed to be a response to the Pandora's box objection, right? And it seemed to me that he just did the same thing that Bergman did, right? So Bergman, I think it was Bergman, or maybe it was Michael Ray, one of those guys, right, thought that they could block the Pandora's box objection by saying they used phenomenal, whoever it was, I can't remember which of the two it was, right? They used phenomenal conservatism, right? And what they said was, well, look, we can actually have access to what God's reasons are because we can say that because I'm justified in believing this, that gives me reason to think that God isn't deceiving me. That was the move that they tried to make, right? So, like, because law was saying, look, any ordinary belief, like it's raining outside, is going to be undermined by skeptical theism, right? And Ray or Bergman said, well, look, it seems to be raining outside. Since I subscribe to a phenomenal conservativist epistemology, I have justification for believing that. And given that I have justification for believing that, that gives me reason to think that God isn't deceiving me. And so in the absence of a defeater, I'm justified. That was their way of trying to block the Pandora's box objection. And it was in response to that Law gave the Ollie's orange example, right? He said, yeah, in the case of Ollie's orange, right, it seems to you that you're seeing a real orange there. But nobody would say that the fact that that's prima facie justified, right, isn't undercut by the fact that because you don't have knowledge of Ollie's moral character, he's unlikely to be deceiving you. Right? Because if the analogy was, if what they were saying was correct, then it should be the case that because it seems like an orange there, it's unlikely that Ollie is deceiving me. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he pointed out that nobody would say that's a good reason to think that Ollie isn't deceiving you, right? That's a case where you have a defeater. Right, and so what Perry Hendricks did, right, which I really don't understand, right, at least this is how I understood what his argument was in the paper, was say, well, okay, the reason why the Pandora's box objection doesn't work is because if you subscribe to a proper functionalist epistemology, you have justification for your belief, for your ordinary perceptual beliefs, and because you have that justification for your ordinary perceptual beliefs, you are justified in thinking that God has a reason not to deceive you. But it just seems like the same problem is going to arise for the proper functionalist as it does for the phenomenal conservative, right? Because if you take the Ollie's orange example, right, and you have a proper functionalist epistemology, the fact that that you have the belief that you're seeing an orange is supposed to provide a reason to think that you really are seeing an orange. But even proper functionalists will say that ordinary beliefs like that are produced by reliable belief-forming mechanisms, right, can be undercut by defeaters. And who would say that because who would say that because you don't know that Ali is unlikely to be deceiving you, that therefore who would say that that isn't a reason to think that you aren't seeing a real orange? Right? Who say that shouldn't undercut your belief? Even a proper functionalist is going to say that. So,
Right.
even a proper functionalist is going to concede, yes, that in Ali's room, right, my belief that I'm seeing an orange is undercut by the fact that I don't know whether Ali is likely to be using his machine or not, right? So I just don't see how Perry Hendricks was saying anything new. All he did was change phenomenal conservatism to proper functionalism, but the same defeater is there. It's a defeater that every epistemology is going to have, right? I mean, maybe there's some crazy epistemology you could have, right? But any of the standard options, right? Everybody's going to agree, right? It's going to be hard to find an epistemologist who's not going to think that in Ali's room, your belief that you're seeing a real orange is not undercut, that there's not a skeptical defeater to that belief. Yeah. So I don't understand the Hendricks stuff at all.
Yeah, that was addressed in the original law paper.
Oh, was it? Okay. I don't think I've read the original law paper.
No, the stuff you said about phenomenal conservatism, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Berkman stuff. But I don't think it was phenomenal.
Right.
Somebody was similar. It was like common sense. It was radiant common sense.
Oh, common sense. Yeah.
Common sense,
Common sense. But
But the
yeah,
idea
on
is the
common
same.
sense, idea is the same. On common sense, on phenomenal conservatism, on proper functionalism, the same defeater is going to be there, right? So I don't see what the problem with the analogy is.
Right. No, I get your point. I probably want to revisit both those papers just to refresh.
Yeah, well,
But there
there's
was
some
another
other
thing
stuff I
with
want to read. Yeah.
There was another worry that I had. Not the worry, but the problem with the practical reason stuff. I didn't think of what came to my mind wasn't the trumping thing. That's a good point as well.
Right.
But if you don't have access to God's moral reasons, how could you ever have access to God's practical reasons? Was the thing that I was thinking about. Because they can't say something like you can read the Bible or something. Because the only reason why you could come to learn from the Bible about God's practical reasons is if you believe that you could interpret the Bible like a common sense or something. Or God wouldn't write a book that would deceive you or something. But if you give up on the moral, if you give up on the moral, how could you ever come to learn? Because even if you receive a revelation from God, or like God just plants a revelation in you, even that, how do you know that? How to interpret that interpretation? That God isn't deceiving you with that revelation. Like if God is telling you, my practical reasons are so and so, how do you know that? That He's not deceiving you. How can you take that at face value?
Right.
So you could never you could never form a foundation to which you could infer God's practical reasons once you block the moral reasons. That's what I was thinking.
Well, what's interesting about the skeptical theism thing is that even if you think the logical problem of evil is sound, there's still going to be a Pandora's box worry, because let's say you're a theist, right? And I run the logical problem of evil, and then the theist says, okay, I guess I have to, if I want to maintain my theism and maintain the omni properties, I have to give up on the idea that anything is evil. So that's how I get out of it, right? Well, if you give up on the idea that anything is evil, you still have seemings that things are evil. And so if you have seemings that things are evil, that just means that God designed you in such a way that your moral perceptual seemings are unreliable. And so if you think your moral perceptual seemings are unreliable, then you can't rule out that God would you can't say that any facts that seem to be true about God's moral character are reliable, right? And so then you can't rule out that God is likely to be deceiving you about anything.
Yeah.
So that's interesting is that even on the logical problem of evil, there's possibly a Pandora's box worry.
On the logical problem?
Yeah, well, I just mean if somebody bites the bullet and says evil doesn't exist, right?
Okay.
They then it's kind of like, well, does it ever occur to you that things seem to be wrong, even pro tanto, right? And if it does, then they're just saying that their moral perceptive faculties are unreliable.
Yeah, because there is no evil.
Right. There's no evil. There couldn't be any. So if it seems that there is, then God has designed you in such a way that your ordinary moral perceptive judgments are unreliable. In which case you can't say that it's inconsistent with your understanding of God's character, right? That he's unlikely to deceive you about whether it's raining outside or not.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's a good point.
Which is an interesting, that's an interesting sort of thing.
Another point was
Go ahead.
that Andrew Moon makes the point that with like the evolutionary argument against naturalism regarding the ad hominem reply, where the naturalist is saying, well, the theist is in the same shoes that I am because the probability of reliable faculties conditionalized upon theism is going to be low and scrutable. The reply to that is, well, maybe that's the case on like bare theism, but if you like have like, I don't know, like communitheism or something, it's going to be high. But when the naturalist asks him why is it going to be high, they appeal to like God's moral character. But if you add skeptical theism as a conjunct now, it goes back to having the same probability as bare design. And so if the EAN is successful for all,
Right.
the naturalist is going to be successful for the theist. That's like another point Moon makes, which is similar, I guess, to these to build up Pandora's box objection.
That's interesting.
Well, Venus, I have a question, by the way.
Yeah, what's up?
It's not really regarding like skeptical theism or the POE. It's more so about classical theism and like neoclassical theism. I've been like doing some thinking on like the two, and couldn't one like run the dilemma between like a modal collapse and providential collapse on neoclassical theists as well? Now, obviously, they reject divine simplicity, but you could do it from change, because like what a lot of like neoclassical theists do is like, since according to classical theism, God can only change in like external or like Cambridge properties, they kind of like say, well, either these properties are like sufficiently explained, so there's a reason why he has like those certain external properties rather than not, and why he has these specific external properties over other ones. So it's like a deterministic causal link. And since our world is explained via God's external properties, if it's like a deterministic causal link, then his external properties would be necessary as well, so this world would be necessary. And if it's an indeterministic causal link, i.e. they're insufficiently explained, there's like a reason why they exist rather than not, but there's no reason why they exist instead of like any other external properties, then providential collapse. And if God's like external properties are just like totally brute, well, then providential collapse again. And neoclassical theists like try to avoid this like dilemma between like modal collapse and providential collapse by like introducing like non-essential intrinsic properties, where they say God can change in intrinsic properties insofar as they're not essential. But wouldn't there still be the same problem? Either there's like a sufficient reason as to why, God has these specific intrinsic properties that aren't essential, or there's an insufficient reason, or they're totally brute. And if there's like a sufficient reason, well, then modal collapse. And if there's like an insufficient reason, basically a deterministic causal link means the explanation. Or if it's like totally brute, then you run into like providential collapse.
Yeah, that seems correct.
So wouldn't they also be like affected by like modal collapse and providential collapse dilemma, like neoclassical theists too?
I think it's typically the classical theists that.
Typically, but wouldn't this seem like work in reverse, since like introducing like non-essential intrinsic properties and saying that God can use in those properties, that doesn't really like solve the problem. It just pushes it one step back.
Yeah, I think you're right. I also say something similar. Because like if you ask something like, if you ask something, well, why did God, fine tune the universe? You could have some. You could say, well, because God had some desire, and then you can ask, what explains why God had the desire? They can say that it's brute, and so there isn't really an explanation. But if it's necessary, you get the same kind of model collapse as you do under classical theism. Is that the kind of like idea you had in mind?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems correct to me.
Also, I have like another question. Vienna is inactive right now, and I know that you're like somewhat familiar with like the Muslim athari metaphysics, and like Vienna holds to like real distinctions in God, but he also holds to like mereological nihilism. So wouldn't that imply that like Allah doesn't exist, just a bunch of like mereological symbols arranged Allah-wise? Like if you like hold to mereological nihilism and to also like athari Muslim metaphysics.
Yeah, unless he thinks Allah is simple, but you said he says that there's like parts in Allah or something.
Well, he wouldn't call them parts, but he does believe in like real distinctions in Allah.
Or maybe like properties or something. But if he holds Allah to be simple, there wouldn't be a problem, I think.
Well,
by the way, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, when it comes to like,
yeah, what's up, bro?
Yeah, well, when it comes to like athari Muslim metaphysics, they have like different definitions for like terms. When it comes to like parts, they define like parts as like something separable from like a subject. So if X can be separated, it's from Y, then X is a part of Y. But if X and Y are like really distinct, and X, is like true of Y, like a property or something like that, but X can't be separated from Y, they wouldn't call that a part. So according to like their semantics, something is a part only if it can be separated from something. So Vienna would like kind of say that like it's logically impossible to separate Allah's attributes from him, but they are like really distinct from him and from each other. Like omnipotence is not identical to Allah, and omnipotence is not identical to omniscience either. So he holds like real distinctions, but he wouldn't say that Allah is like made up of parts. He'd just say there's real distinctions since they define parts as like separable things.
I see. I don't think I see an issue with that per se, but
Wait, you don't?
because he doesn't. He's not saying they're parts. So I don't think the mereological nihilism stuff is gonna cause him a problem, because that's just like a thesis about parts.
Yeah, but don't you think you can like invoke some regress there by asking what unifies these distinct things in God? And you'd go to some regress there.
Well, there might be other problems. I'm just saying I don't think mereological nihilism is going to cause a problem or being compatible with such a view.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, Jack, did you do some more thinking about the kind of stuff we spoke yesterday about the simultaneous causation and relational time?
Well, I mean, Levi was saying that.
Sorry, who?
What it's going to entail. This guy Levi was saying that it's going to entail that that time can't be created, and so God therefore has to be in time. Has to have always.
By created, it's also going to capture. It can also capture initiate time, not per se created.
Oh, well, I was imagining that time was initiated, right? I was just saying that would mean that God began to exist.
Okay, I think Peck has a paper with response to, because I think this worry was brought up to him that God would require a cause or something, or God would begin to exist. And
Yeah.
he had like some specific way of defining what begins to exist was.
Venus, what's up with skeptical theism? Have you been discussing that with Jack, or since we last talked about it?
Yeah, we discussed the phenomenal conservatism and the prudential reasons or practical reasons. None of that stuff works. I think Jack can repeat it to you as well if you're like curious about it.
Okay, that
If you
would be,
if
yes.
you remember, I mean, if you remember what Abida said, but or maybe if you were just curious about the phenomenal conservatism stuff, I'm sure he'll repeat it to you.
Nice whenever Jack has the time, yeah.
Oh, Jack
About
is
the
there. You can just ask him.
practical reason stuff? You mean for skeptical theism? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, for skeptical theism. But I didn't really take the direction of the practical reason stuff by Albedo. But I mean, yeah, you could just say, like, assuming that I was talking about the practical reason stuff, what would be the issue there, Jack? Or
I think that because the moral reasons would trump any competing practical reason. So if you couldn't rule out that there was a moral reason that was potentially trumping the competing practical reason, then you wouldn't be able to block the skepticism.
well, how about like even with the moral reasons, like so you would say like to rule out any moral reason, like I mean, because like a lot of skeptical theorists would say like, oh, like you don't know all of God's reasons, but you might know some of God's moral reasons, right? And like some of God's, you could come up with like a reason for why God wouldn't like globally deceive you, even if he's locally deceiving you, right? Because it's evil. Like you could say like, oh, like that's gonna be gratuitously evil, that global deception, right? Maybe, but so how like an intuition justifying that proposition wouldn't really work there, Jack. What would you say about that? Like, why wouldn't an intuition justify that proposition? Or
Well, I thought the way I understand it is something like this. You have these gratuitous evils, right? And rather than think that they're evidence against the existence of God, right? These apparent gratuitous evils. You think,
evils.
oh, my moral perceptions are unreliable. Yeah.
but I think like
My
wouldn't
moral
the
perceptions are unreliable.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I think I told you, Venus, right? But I feel like I think Albedo and I responded by saying like Albedo was saying like skeptical theists would respond by saying, well, there is going to be like a leap of inference there by saying your whole perceptual faculty, moral perceptual faculties would have a defeater for, right? Because maybe it's only these scenarios, right? Like you looking at the fawn being stuck in the forest, right? It's only at these scenarios that seem to be gratuitously evil will you have like a defeater for. That doesn't mean that all of your moral perception, right, would have a defeater, because maybe like you could see other instances of good or other instances of evil that doesn't seem to be gratuitous, and your perceptions
I
there
think the
are gonna
idea is just something like this, right? Take the most extreme evil imaginable, whatever that is, right? Like it could be the Holocaust, right? So then you say to yourself, oh, there could really be a good reason for this, right? Well, if that's what you think, then it seems like you have to say, well, there could be a good reason why God would deceive me about whether it's raining outside or not. See what I mean?
Actually, I think like wouldn't Jack, the skeptical theist, actually concede to that? Like they might say like, Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, but I'm just saying
possible.
that generates global skepticism. That's all. They
Um,
can concede it, right? But the point is, they have to bite that bullet.
I mean, but again, so what about this, Jack? Right? What if they tell you, okay, fine, it's possible that there might be good reasons for you being deceived and thinking that rain is pouring from the sky, right now,
No, no,
right?
no. But the point is, it's not just that it's possible, right?
Okay.
You believe that there is a good reason to, like, let people be stabbed in the eye, for babies to get, sexually assaulted, for 6 million Jews to be slaughtered, whatever. You do believe that there's a good reason for all those things, right? Well, if you can believe that, right, then surely you can't say, oh, well, God's unlikely to deceive me about my ordinary perceptual beliefs. That's the
So Jack,
idea.
yeah. So Jack, can someone say, well, yeah, I believe, right, that there's a good reason for why there's these evils, right, but I don't believe, right, that there is like a good reason for me being deceived, right, in those
Look,
other.
you can more shift against the argument, but that's just going to be to give up on some kind of
Yeah,
evidential.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, if you give up on some kind of evidential support for your beliefs, you can more shift against the argument. I just take that to be a victory for the atheologist, right? That's apologetically, that's going to be a victory for atheists, right? If they can say that Christians have thrown into the waste paper basket any idea that their belief in God is not justified.
Jack. But however, the theist might say, sure, you're right, but the burden of proof is on you to show that there's global skepticism with skeptical theism, right? But if I do this Morian shift, we're still able to say that we can still hold on to
But
skeptical
the only
theism.
way you're able to
Yeah.
make that Morian shift is by saying that you give up on the idea that your belief that God is good is evidentially supported.
I guess so. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
But Jack, the problem with the simultaneous causation stuff was that God begins to exist, right? That was the point you made
Yes,
before we went back to
God would have
skepticism.
to begin to exist.
Okay, I see. So simultaneous causation it's not going to be incoherent. It's just not going to be something that God. It's just not going to be a thing that could be in like the Craig scenario, where God initiates time and that's simultaneous with Him
That's
time
right.
beginning to exist. Okay, I see.
Well, he can't initiate time if initiate is a causal notion, right?
Yeah, that's the point that I was making.
That's the
yesterday,
point that
but then
you were
said-
making. What I was saying
Yeah.
was not that time was simultaneously caused by God, but that the universe is simultaneously caused by God.
Oh, I
Now,
see.
I suppose if you're like subscribed to like relativity theory, you might not be able to say that, right? Because time is sort of like a constitutive part of the universe. It's not this thing sort of like outside the universe that the universe is like situated in, right? I mean, I'm not an expert on relativity theory, but like,
Yeah, I see what you mean. Isn't that
Yeah,
kind of
'cause
like equivocating on time?
well, I'm just saying, like, let's say you're a Newtonian or you have like this Neo-Lorentzian view or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
My point is, okay, but even then, because look, if you have the Einstein view, presumably, then creating universe is synonymous with the creating space-time, and since causation is a temporal notion and creation is a causal notion, there can't be creation of space-time. So I agree with you there. What I was imagining is that let's say you're a Newtonian or a Neo-Lorentzian or something. So then you could say that time begins to exist at the same time that God simultaneously causes the universe to exist.
Yeah. Hello? Or maybe Jack just got a call or something.
Jack, left. He's doing something. His live is on pause.
Wait, Alan, did you see the argument for atheism we made yesterday?
Sorry?
Sorry, I got a phone call. Yeah, so I was just imagining that on that view it might be coherent.
Like, I see the point, but I think I was making a slightly different point because you're talking about space-time, right?
Well,
Hello?
there's two possibilities. Can you hear me? There's
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? There's two possibilities,
Yeah, I can hear you.
right? So, okay, so maybe there's a delay. I'm not sure. So there could be space-time, and if space-time begins to exist, it can't be caused, right?
Yeah.
But it could be that the universe begins to exist, and time is not. Sorry, it could be that the universe begins to exist. Well, what I'm proposing is that on one type of view, you might be able to say you might be able to coherently say the universe begins to exist is simultaneously caused by God who begins to exist, right? And that's coincident with the beginning of time. But time is not cause.
Yeah.
Time's existence is not cause.
I think Greg want to say something like that, save for the God beginning to exist. But
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's the entering time that gets him into trouble, I think.
yeah, because I wasn't on too focused too much on the universe because like imagine just God creates paradise or something or like angels playing
Yeah.
volleyball in heaven. That would
Right.
initiate time. Right.
Yeah.
But I just find it problematic because it seems like time is a prerequisite for initiation because
Yes.
initiation is a temporal notion.
Right,
That's
I
the
agree
thing
with
that
that.
I was.
Yeah.
Yo, guys. By the way, regarding this whole like notion on causality and time, there's like an experiment within the paper. Like causality is an emergent macroscopic phenomena, the Lee-Wick-Owen model. And that paper like apparently shows how causality is emergent. Basically, the acausal nature of the universe becomes like noticeable within very short time periods or very high energies. So basically, they were like running experiments where like they sort of induce that causality is an emergent macroscopic phenomena. So when like theists say that God causes things, considering that he's atemporal, wouldn't they have to introduce like a whole new category of causality, like where when we say that God causes things, it's like analogical predication. So it's basically like a whole new category. It wouldn't be like causality as we understand it. It'd be something else. If we take that into consideration.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right.
But Jack, you said something about Mullins. His view is like God is like constantly thinking or something. His thoughts are like constantly changing.
I don't know. I was just saying, like, he's somebody I could imagine who might say that. Right? He thinks God is in time. I don't really understand his view, but It seems like it's probably a better view than Craig's,
Oh, I
whatever
see.
it
But you
is.
don't think it escapes the argument that I have on screen?
Oh wait, let me look at the argument on screen.
Hey, what's going on, Moxie?
Yo, hey, what's up? What's up, guys?
Moxie, the fat cake.
What's up?
I said, how's that fat cake?
Goons?
Jack, is the argument visible for you? You
Yeah.
can see, you can read the text.
Oh, but this depends on the weak PSR, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just reversing, kind of like, you know, Rasmussen's argument. Oh, sorry, Proust's
Yeah.
Gale's argument. It's just to show that like theists can't actually use
The weak
the argument.
PSR. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Well, that seems fine. Yeah, but I guess they don't have to have the weak PSR, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Does Bruce believe it? Bruce believes in the strong PSR, right?
This is the piece that he gives in the paper he wrote with Richard Gale.
But that's the
pretty sure he
paper
used
that
to be
that
committed
Abe
to strong.
responded to, right?
Yeah, he showed that it entails the strong.
The weak PSR entails the strong PSR,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but maybe somebody wants to resist that entailment. I'm just saying, like, at least this shows these cannot use that argument. I think you can run a similar argument using like the first principle of the Kalam. The
Yeah,
idea there
Causal
just would
principle.
be, yeah, the idea there would just be about God's intentions. If they began to exist, then they need a cause. But it's not coherent to say that God's intentions have a cause. But if they always existed, then the universe would always have to exist. You see, you get what I mean?
Wouldn't they say like God's intention never really began to exist or something like? Don't like Thomas.
Yeah, but
think
then the
that-
universe. Yeah, but then the universe has to be eternal as well.
Well, I mean, can't they make like a distinction between his intentions and the created effects, like the actions he partakes or something like that? Maybe there's like he had these intentions, but he never really acted upon them.
No, it doesn't. No, but like act itself is gonna be an intention. It's gonna require an intention. But does that intention for him to start acting, does that have a cause or not?
Okay, yeah.
Yo, Venus. By the way, regarding this whole like paper with like the Leawick ON model of like causality, where it's like emergent, like I talked to a dude. He's called Free the Goat. I assume that you're familiar with him.
He's like 14 years old.
Yeah, he used to be like an anime debater, and basically, he likes to argue for like a necessary being by like arguing that like brute facts are unprobable. But taking like the Leawick model into consideration, where like causality is like a macroscopic emergent phenomena, that with the universe there's like two options, like either it was like caused by an atemporal, aspatial necessary being, or it's like brute. But in the hypothesis where it's caused, you have to like introduce like a whole new category of like when we say that like the necessary being caused the universe, it's like analogical predication, since like causality within the universe as we understand is like emergent, so it's a whole different category. Couldn't one say that like the universe being brute is more probable, since they can both account like for the universe existing like either it's brute or it's caused by a necessary being. But with like the brute hypothesis, it doesn't introduce like a whole new category. So in terms of like prior probability, it's higher. Since it doesn't introduce like a whole new category of causality, it just has like regular causality, which is like an emergent macroscopic phenomenon within the universe.
That seems correct. You're saying it's gonna be theoretically simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be the case that like there isn't a link between simplicity and probability. I don't know if Jack has a view on this, or if Moxie or Adam have a view on this, but it might be the case that there isn't a link between probability and parsimony. But maybe somebody has an argument for that, but in most cases, I think people just have an intuition that there's a link. And maybe Jack has. Jack, do you have a thought about this?
I mean, yeah, Jack. If you go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
That's right. You can go first if you have something to say.
It's gonna be a little bit of a tangent, which is going to what Venus was saying about like. I don't really like this prior probability, those types of arguments, but I mean that's neither here or there because people can always like have like a very high posterior probability. So I mean, people can easily grant these very low priors, right? But still very much be rational, justified, and even warranted in their belief in the thing that has a very low prior, right? So that's why I don't really like these prior probability arguments. But yeah, Jack, if Jack wants to respond to the brute thing, to the simplicity and probability thing.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like Occam's razor is justified probabilistically, right?
Which kind of parsimony do you think Occam razor translates to?
I don't know, but it's often said that Occam's razor it's often said that something called the principle of parsimony is just Occam's razor, right?
Yeah, but is it supposed to be like theoretical, ontological?
I'm not sure. Well, yeah, probably ontological. I mean, the point is, right, don't multiply entities unnecessarily.
Yeah, I've heard it made like, but a lot of people say like, cash out in terms of claims or something, right?
Well, I think it's
Like,
difficult to do it that way because then it seems like, right, there's this worry that you're denying a claim that the affirming of a claim is just the flip side of denying another claim, right? Isn't that the worry?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. That could be. I always thought that straightforwardly, if you say something like, there's a cat in the box and there's a blue cat in the box, the former is simply going to have a low probability, but that's just because you're affirming the same thing and something extra, and so you have more ways of being wrong. But
Right.
that's different from like positing more fundamental entities or something, or like, you get what I mean?
Yeah, but the idea is just supposed to be, so the idea is something like that, right? That if I can explain, let's say I have some phenomenon X I'm trying to explain, and
Yeah.
I can posit ABC to explain it, or DEFG to explain it. And if there's equal likelihood, if all those 7 entities have an equal probability of existing, then I should prefer the ABC explanation to the DEFG explanation.
Yeah, but you're already working with that each one has the same probability. So
Yeah, it's different.
adding one
It's
more,
different. Yeah. Right. But I think that's the idea of how you justify Occam's razor probabilistically.
Yeah, but it seems like there are gonna be notions of parsimony where that doesn't work, right? Maybe
Well, I
like a
would.
theological parsimony or something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Right. So you're going to be in a bind where either you have to say that they're not probabilistically like there's going to be a problem here, which is like ideally you'd want to say that every explanatory virtue is probability raising, but
I kind of like given up on that, but
yeah, if you can't say that,
yeah.
then then it's kind of like, well, why should somebody accept that list of explanatory virtues?
Yeah, I see what you mean, but but there are like other people who think there are virtues that are probability lowering, like critical rationalists, right?
Right, and
Like
so
Popper
then
or something, right?
right, and so then there's another issue about what does it mean to be an epistemic justification, because you could say, well, what is epistemically justifying is probability raising, but somebody might want to say things are epistemically justified without necessarily being probability raising. So then it seems like they have a different idea of what an epistemic reason is. But then you could also talk about pragmatic reasons, right? Like you could say there's a pragmatic reason to adopt this explanatory virtue, but that's not an epistemic reason to adopt it, right? Or you have a pragmatic reason for accepting this explanation, even though, because it has this virtue, but that virtue only affords a pragmatic reason to accept it, not an epistemic one.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess in the pragmatism, those collapse. But some people could just say they don't have the same goals or something, right?
Yes, that's the worry.
Do you have an opinion on this, or don't you have an opinion on this? If the virtues are all.
I mean, I wonder whether they aren't like hinges.
I think they are hinges, but if they are hinges, then they wouldn't be necessarily be probability raising, right?
Yeah, but then it would seem like you're not really paying as big a price for conceding that, right?
Yeah, that seems correct. But yet, to like Brian's point, if they aren't probability raising, then they wouldn't affect the prior probability. So that's like the worry I had with the question, Brian. Oh yeah, Jack, did you see the recent debate that Malpass had? I think it was yesterday.
The Moreland one?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm behind on like three. There's like at least three of these debates that I want to see that I haven't seen. So
Jack, is one of them Ethan Muse's debate yesterday as well?
Who did he debate? Oh, that guy that guy with the beard.
Yeah. It wasn't really a debate. I don't think it was a discussion.
I'm not going to watch that.
Jack.
I mean, Ethan is just garbage. I mean, it's just all LARPing, garbage.
Jack, wouldn't it would be like wouldn't he really be destroying his credibility now that he's put his face out there and he's claiming he's Catholic, right? People now know him, right? If it turns out this is all a troll, that would really destroy his career, right? And his credibility in a way, right? Like his reputation as like, what do you think of that, Jack? Like that I mean, he put himself out there now, right?
What'd you say, Venus?
Not if he keeps it up.
Yeah, he could just keep it up forever.
Oh, okay. That would be really cool. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I need to see. Well, I'm halfway through the debate review of, that Detroyer and Dan Linford and Nathan did, of the Nathan's and Alex's debate with Miles Donahue and Noah McKay. I got to finish watching that. I've got to watch
Isn't that one
Alex
like
versus.
hours, like 4 hours?
It's long. It's like at least 3 hours. So I got to the part where Dan had to leave, and then I stopped. But I decided I have to go back. So I got to finish that. I got to watch Alex versus Miles Donahue, and I got to watch Alex versus Moreland.
Did you watch
Oh,
the
and there's
four-way one?
also. No, I don't. I guess I should watch that because I guess I should see what Alex says. And I think there might be an interview that Alex did with Detroyer that I haven't watched, or that I need to rewatch.
What are your thoughts about Miles Donahue, this Oxford philosopher, PhD person? What do you think of this individual, Jack?
I guess I think he's a motivated reasoner,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
but I think he's like pretty smart, pretty nice, pretty charitable. So I'd say he's one of the relatively reasonable ones.
Say he's very motivated and stuff. He's a very motivated reasoner.
I mean, it seems hard to believe anybody would think that the fine-tuning argument was a good argument if they weren't a motivated reasoner. I guess that's what I'm inclined to think.
Don't you have Jack, Mike Humer, for example, right? He thinks that the fine tuning is he claims that it's a very good argument, right? Even though he doesn't even believe in it, right?
But he believes in all this phenomenal. They use like intuitions as a way of like motivating the argument. So
Yeah.
he.
You can get anything with intuitions.
Yeah, you can get anything.
Yo, Venus. By the way, you know how there was like a huge wave of Thomism on like TikTok, with like,
Yeah.
regarding like the Thomistic model of the Trinity, I've heard like an interesting critique on it. Basically, since their metaphysics is like pretty Aristotelian and like according to Aristotle, if something exists extramentally, it's either like a substance or an accident. But like the relations in the Trinity, they're neither accidents nor substances. They would be kind of introducing like a new category to Aristotle's metaphysics, which is ad hoc, in order to like explain the Trinity.
Well, I don't think it would be ad hoc, but I don't understand any of that stuff. That stuff seems to me to be like nonsense.
Well,
I don't understand what they.
do you think it makes sense, Venus, to the Thomism and their view of the Trinity and all of that? Or?
No, I can't make sense of it for the life of me.
Yeah, that's.
Are you able to make sense of it?
Yeah, no. I can't
say-
make sense of it. I can't make sense
When
of
they
it.
say like the persons are relations,
Yeah, I can't.
what
I
does
can't
that
make
even
sense.
mean?
I don't understand. I mean, and they claim that the person. I mean, they don't even believe in a personal. You said Venus, right? They don't believe in personal theism, like, and yet they hold the three hypostases and their relations, and it seems like they are personal, but then they're not really.
I don't understand what it means to say a relation in God manifested as a human being.
The relation manifest. Oh, so there's a manifestation. Yeah. What does it mean to say the relation manifested as a human being? That's
Because they don't think, they're not like social Trinitarians, they don't think hypostasis is
a
like a
rational
rational
agent. Right?
agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, they think there's these relations within God, but they're not.
Do they
they're
think
not
that
real
these
ends.
relations? Do they think that these relations are particulars?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe Jack knows.
I don't know.
The church fathers, they view them as particulars, the hypostases. They're just like these concrete things, right? When they say relations are not like, I don't really understand what relations are. Like, I don't. In that particular context, I don't really understand. When they say that the three relations and the second relation manifested as a human being, I don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah, I can make sense of any of this stuff. Neither could Descartes.
Yeah.
Do they hold also to one? Do they hold to the one self model Venus, right? Instead of the three. I mean, I also have. I mean,
Yeah, they,
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
well, it's kind of funny calling it one self model because they don't think God is a self either.
So
They
it's
don't
not
think
even a
God is a
one self.
person or an
So it's not even a one self model. Like it's like a no self model. It's like what's going on there? Like
I
okay,
could
so then
never,
yeah.
yeah, I could never understand why anybody would be motivated to believe in such a thing. Like, the God is not a person, has like these relations in him, identical to exist. Like, what does it mean to be identical to existence? And what's worse is they don't believe existence is a predicate. They don't believe existence is a property because they don't hold. They hold to like what I guess called constitutional. Are you familiar with that distinction,
Ontology.
constitutional versus non? Yeah, because they want to avoid like planting as critique where he
Constitutive.
says,
Constitutive.
yeah, they want to avoid like planting as criticism where he says God can be identical to properties because one is abstract, the other is concrete.
Right.
So they say
Somehow
no, that
yeah, so instead of offering this, some have offered this reply of Venus by saying, well, we take like, some have said, well, moderate realism would be the view and properties wouldn't be abstracted but concreta. And
no, but
so,
usually what they say
but
is
you're right,
what they
that's
usually
not the
say is
usual
that
response. Yeah, that's not the usual response. Yeah.
they don't believe in this they don't believe in this subject predicate ontology.
You're right. That's the usual response. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But then I don't know what it means to say God is identical to his existence. His constitute is
What do you think of like Kuhn's model, the qua thing, right? About I didn't really understand also Kuhn's model of the Jack. Do you have like a good understanding of it, or
Not at all.
these qua relations? Like I don't know.
that's like saying
I mean,
numbers qua smells or something.
I don't understand what's going on there.
That's like saying bachelors qua triangles.
It makes you feel like it doesn't all of this just make you think that Oriental Orthodoxy is so much saner?
I mean, yeah. I mean, what's cool about Oriental Orthodoxy, right, is that we don't really have this centralized system of metaphysics and theology, right, where you're binded by that, right? So you're free to roam around a lot, right? You're free to like philosophize in a very like you know what I mean? Like we only believe in three councils, right? Council of Nicaea, Constantinople, and Ephesus. That's it. And so like all you need to believe is like the Trinity, and it's not even clear
No,
which
you
model the
believe
Trinity.
in
Yeah, I mean,
you believe in four councils.
well, technically speaking, yeah, if you want to count like the Second Council of Ephesus, right? Is that what you're
Yeah,
referring to? Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
so.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there was even a third council of Ephesus, by the way. But what the Coptic Church would say about that is they count these three councils of Ephesus as one council, because they're saying, oh, the Second Council of Ephesus and the third are just reaffirming the First Council of Ephesus. That's why you find a lot of Oriental
But when you
Orthodox.
talk about the councils that the mainstream churches hold to be valid, there are actually four that you accept. When they
Yeah.
talk about the first seven councils, you
Yes.
hold the first four. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm a little bit confused about the Oriental Orthodox because Danny was in this live yesterday and he was like, debating these Christians on the hypostatic union. And this guy was saying, well, I don't have that problem because I'm a Miaphysite, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But the problem is, I thought that in the ecumenical movement, all the churches have now agreed that they have the same Christology. And so that the dispute was merely a verbal one.
Correct, yeah. There have been recent dialogues, and yes, they have reached, a lot of them have reached agreements, but they're still controversial and they haven't officially been accepted, these agreements, right? So, like, they haven't really gone to the synods, right? And have gotten agreed by all the members in the synod. So, yeah, there have been individual theologians from respective churches, right? Including the Oriental Orthodox, right? That have gone and reached out to the other side. And they do claim, yes, it's only a semantic dispute, not really one of ontology. There isn't this like significant ontological distinction between both Christologies, but that's still controversial, right? Within like not everyone within those respective communities, right, would agree that it's merely a semantic dispute. There is still some hardcore theologians from both from the respective traditions who will still claim that there is an ontological distinction between
Venus.
both Christologies. Yeah. I mean, Jack, I think like a lot of Miaphysites, when they claim, oh, like this logical problem of the incarnation doesn't apply to us, it's because of like the standard solution that's offered, which is like compositional Christology, right? Where you can have this composite object, you can have multiple distinct aspects to it, that can have contradictory properties, even being attributed to the different aspects, but that doesn't violate the law of non-contradiction because these contradictory properties are in different aspects and with different respect, right? They're being attributed to different aspects of that one and the same composite object. That's basically Miaphysitism, right? This composite Christology. And I actually argue that the standard solution that's offered by the philosophy of the religion is actually appealing to Miaphysitism without them knowing it, right? Because compositional Christology does entail one composite nature, not these two natures, right? Because you either have a one composite nature or two separate natures in a way. So yeah, a lot of Miaphysites, I think, do like take from what I was saying earlier, like when I used to discuss it on Discord with a lot of Miaphysites, that actually I think that the standard solution to the LPI is one of Miaphysitism. And so like the logical problem of the incarnation wouldn't really apply to us. But I think it will apply to these Christologies that don't affirm composition in Christ, right? Yeah.
Why wouldn't it apply to you guys?
I mean, because in principle, you can have a composite object that can have contradictory properties that refer to different aspects of one and the same composite object. An example of that would be the body-soul composite, right? So you can have like this one composite being, right, that's composed of body and soul. We can say like the body is material, the soul is immaterial. But these aren't like going to violate the law of non-contradiction to say like this one composite being is both material and immaterial because the material and the immaterial properties are referring to different aspects of that one and the same composite being. And that would be like the Miaphysite Christology. The Christ is this one composite nature, one composite being. Yeah.
No, it's still apply, bro.
Venus, my brother.
Jack, you know, Kara.
Oh, is this Kata? Oh, no.
Yeah,
I don't want to have a discussion with I don't want to have a discussion with Kata. Kata's utterly gonna destroy me. Yeah, I don't want to have a discussion with him.
What does this like divine simplicity stuff originate? Was it with like Augustine?
Kata is a Thomist, so Kata can help us out with all of these things. Kata,
No,
you're a
Kara's
Thomist.
Kara's an atheist.
Wait, what? Oh no, I can't. I can't match Kata. Right? Kata will run circles.
Oh, Jack, do you know that? Jack, do you know Kara has a gambling addiction?
No, bro.
Why are you laughing so much, Jack? What's going on there?
I quit, bro. I quit for a week.
Kata's
Bro.
a troll.
I caved in today, bro.
You know, he like randomly goes in and loses like £1,000.
Where's he getting the money from?
I think he works.
Yeah, but
Knowing your hard-earned money.
basically, yeah.
Oh my god.
Bro, my addiction
Did you ever
started.
watch?
My addiction started
Dude.
when I placed a bet of $2.50 and I made 500. Bro, that's where it all began, to be honest. There was really no going back after that. That was a haunted day for me, bro, because the same day I made another like 1,000, bro, and I felt on top of the world, bro, and I just couldn't stop after that. And the worst thing is, bro, when you're like deep in it, like bro, I don't know if you've ever gambled before, but your view on money just completely changes. Like I could make like an entire month's wages, bro, and I still wouldn't be satisfied with it. I'll just keep playing. My friend,
That's
my friend and me,
reminds me. Have you heard about Stu Ungarn before?
we we played one weekend and he made 10,000, bro. The next week he lost it all of it.
Do you know who Bossman Jack is?
Boss.
Bossman Jack. He's a streamer who gambles on stream, and he's like compulsive. So when he starts to win, he sometimes gets starts out with a very small amount, and
Yeah.
he'll get it
Yeah.
up to like $150,000, and then he could like lose
Lose
it
it all?
in a few hours after that, or a day.
I've watched them all, bro. I watched Dalton, Flenser, Bluff.
That must completely destroy your
Like,
capability of thinking about money if you do that.
Yeah.
it
And
do-
you know
it
the thing
does, bro.
is that the gambling sites pay him. They give him $10,000 a month, or whatever,
Yeah.
or some I forget what the amounts are, but they give
I
him
think most
money,
streamers.
thousands of dollars to play, and he always loses it all.
Yeah.
You know, but then
Yeah.
the next day he's got another. He's got another 5,000 to gamble with. You know that he'll just lose. It's just
Bro, I
hilarious.
watched Jack. I
Hayden
watched.
Ross does something similar.
I watched
But he
this-
does it in the millions, I think.
I watched this one guy. He gets loans off his friends. He'll double the money, and they'll be like, "Okay, send it back. Like, send it back to me." And he'll keep playing and lose all of it, bro.
Yeah, well, that's what happens to Busman Jack. People will sometimes lend him money, and he's supposed to pay them back, but he'll like lose it all before he pays them. So he's always in debt to a million people.
That's funny.
Hilarious.
That's,
I mean, by the way, are all the? Do you think all the games in the casino are always in favor of the house, right?
No, not all of them.
Not all
Wait,
of them. Okay.
what are the ones that aren't? How would they make money?
I mean,
well, poker isn't.
poker's an example.
Oh, but poker,
Yeah,
is
poker
different though, right? Because poker, what they do is they take just a percentage.
Yeah.
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 I think I would say baccarat, but they take commission though.
No, baccarat, I thought has
it's
a
in
percentage.
favor of the house. Yeah,
Yeah, it does have it. Yeah.
Blackjack, you can get like a 2% advantage if you count cards and play perfect basic strategy.
But how does baccarat favor the house? I don't get it.
How
Because
does
you
blackjack
because
favor
you
the
you
house? Yeah.
blackjack
Wait,
Yeah,
you got banned again?
because I got banned. I didn't get banned. I'm just on a backup.
So
Oh.
let's assume you're not counting cards, right? It wouldn't be like 50-50 or.
No, not at all. They have like a 4% edge. It's like
Baccarat's
it's one of
virtual.
the lower edges, but
Baccarat's virtual 50-50, but if
when
it's
you
house-
double down, you can only hit once. They have to stay on certain numbers. You are more likely to take the risk on certain numbers. I mean, there's just a lot.
But wait, bro. On baccarat, if it ties, you get your money back. And well, they take like, is it like 2.5% commission or some shit? I think like.
Yeah, but the thing on baccarat is on certain totals of numbers, one side draws and the other side doesn't, right? So it's like there's just a mathematically like a 5 or 6% chance that the house is going to win.
Oh, I see. I'm retarded, my god.
Yeah.
I'm
You can't
also
use that
drunk.
Yeah, so you can't win in the long run if you're
Yeah,
playing
unless you're
against the house.
counting cards. Yeah,
But
exactly.
Yeah, unless
baccarat
you're
used to be
counting
the game I
cards,
would
yeah.
go to if I'm really down, bro. I'll just
But they don't.
play
They haven't.
baccarat.
They haven't adopted like practices that rule out you being able to successfully count, like in terms of like changing.
They have, like,
the decks and stuff. You know, like shuffling and.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
It's called. Yeah, they can half shoe you, which like obviously, I don't know if you know how to count cards, but it very.
I,
It's
I've
very.
read about it.
Yeah, it's very reliant on knowing how many decks are left to be dealt.
Right.
So if you only have half of the probability to work with, it's very close to having a 0% edge.
Right.
So it's basically useless. But then you also have to figure out that like people want to be if they can keep you playing for longer, then you will stay for longer. So if they have to keep shuffling the shoe every 3 decks, patrons and civilians will
We'll
leave.
just get up and leave
Yeah.
the table. I see. Okay.
I think.
But but obviously, in the long run, like if you want to be successful at card counting, you have to do 5 very specific things, and those things are detectable, and they can just put measures in place to
Right,
stop those
because they
things in
have
the long
because
run.
they have people watching it. So
Yeah.
We
if
should
they
stop
start
speaking
noticing
these
that you're
before I go
winning,
fucking gamble.
they're gonna
Yeah.
and then they'll just ban you.
Yeah. So if you ever hear like check play, then you've accidentally done something that a card counter might do when the count is above a true 3 or a true 4 or
The
negative.
casinos have like connections with each other, so if you get banned from one, you're
That's
banned
right.
from all.
You get blacklisted. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
But in the UK, it doesn't work like that. They just did a documentary recently with these places where people went and self-served, and I think it was 1 out of the 10 of the casinos he visited. They checked
Yeah.
him and like refused him.
Well, you can't count. You can't count online, right? Because the deck
No,
is
you
infinite
can't.
online.
Yeah, they have you online
Okay, I see.
because they can just do 12 decks, and then they can just half shoot 12 decks, so it feels like a normal amount of time. Usually they do like 6 or 8 decks online. But I just went to my local casino and I picked up my win-loss for the year, and I haven't been caught yet. So I
Oh,
got
you count cards?
yeah I count that yeah.
I think it's because you're Jewish, bro.
But you-
Probably why, yeah.
Well, how
He's
do you
Jewish?
avoid the?
I've only been doing it for like a year, and I don't play like in high limit rooms. So and I'm only up like 11,000 this like in a year.
11,000.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's like a grand that you.
Yeah, so like, well, but like, if you want to go in and count cards and like, obviously, the more money you can go in with, the more opportunity the math has to work in your favor. So if you have a bet spread that's like, okay, so first step is that blackjack is a solved game, right? There's one and only one correct decision to make for your 2 cards plus the dealer's face card, and it doesn't matter what feeling you have about it, right? The second thing is you need to know how to count cards. You need to know how to do the running count. The third thing is you need to know how to convert the running count to a true count. The fourth thing you need to know is your bet spread. And your bet spread is where, given a wider margin, you can make more money quicker. So I just don't have the bankroll to make because some card counters will sit down, get kicked out in like 2 hours and make like $20,000.
So it's a little bit like working for a living.
Yes. yeah. And then the fifth and final step is you need to learn the deviations from perfect basic strategy. When the statistics are in your favor, like for example, obviously you never take insurance. That's a rule. But if the true count is 3 or higher, then it's advantageous for you to take insurance because you'll likely get paid. Same thing for
A
like
lot of work
if-
for us.
if the
These are
count's like a
innovations, though, right? Because like when I used to
Yes.
read about blackjack in the '80s, those weren't options.
No, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
You wanted to play like pretty tight, close to the chest back then, but now it's like, well, you need to play deviations. Deviations are like one of the bigger bumps in your statistical edge, right? Like if I can if I'm showing a value of 10 and the dealer's showing a face card, but the count's above a true 4, you would never think of doubling down a 10 versus a dealer's face card, but you win more often than not at a true 4, right? Things like
Sounds
that.
like a lot of work.
Yeah.
A little money.
A lot of
'Cause I
work
knew
mentally.
somebody who used to be able to successfully handicap horse racing. You know, he would consistently win, but it was really like just having a job, right? Because he'd have to get the racing form and study all the, you know what I mean, in order to figure out all the best bets. It took like a full day, right?
I mean, that sounds way
Yeah.
too woo-woo for me.
Well, I mean, I think he was a consistent winner. I mean, it's always hard to be sure about these things, you know, because sometimes
Yeah.
people exaggerate. You know, or there isn't a good sample size. But I
Right.
had the impression at that time, and he was a good friend of mine, so I had the impression at that time that he was consistently winning. But I kind of thought, well, maybe I should get into this. But then I thought, well, it's basically like just having a job, because it takes so much time to like
Yeah, it's like-
successfully handicap. So I mean, I suppose that the way out is just to increase the size of your bets, because then you're proceeding on the same basis, right? But the payoff is just a lot
Right.
larger, right?
Yeah, you don't think of it in terms of money. You think of it in
Right.
terms of a unit.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
I guess if you were betting very large sums and successful, and had figured out a successful way to handicap, I guess after a year of
Yeah.
doing it, you'd have
Yeah.
so much money you could quit, or whatever.
You'd make a lot of money
Yeah.
that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But for whatever reason, I just never pursued it.
Yeah.
So if you're
and
only
the
making
thing that-
11,000 a year,
well,
right?
it's not like I was going like
Right.
I only went like 9 or 10 times. So like
Right.
it was basically like
Well, that's pretty
if
good
somebody
for 9 or 10 times.
if
Yeah.
somebody texts you and say like, hey, can you drive 45 minutes? I have like $900 for you. I would make that drive. I would just make that drive.
Right,
It's
right.
just, it's worth it for me.
Right.
Um, Yeah.
Wait, $900 for a drive?
Yeah. For like
For
a
a
where?
45-minute drive? Yeah, absolutely.
And then that's also what I would do because obviously you're going to lose, but you're going to win in the long run. Like the house wins in the long run. So some things I would do that I think hindered my success because I was scared of failure is if I was up, like let's say I went in. Usually I would go in with like $2,000 to $4,000, and let's say I had like 6,000 or 7,000. And then I got down to where I was only up 500, but I had been up like $3,000. I would think about if I got that text to go pick up like $500, and I would just leave. When you're not supposed to leave, the more that you play, the more that the trend is in your favor. But that it's typical of people who are new to card counting to get scared of the downswings and quit because you think that like, oh, I've been running too hot, so the bad luck's coming, or like superstitions like that, and it's just not true.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's deadly to any gambler to start believing that stuff.
Yeah, like there's this channel that I was watching to like learn this kind of stuff, and they said that some people after they were winning for like an hour would go out and play like virtual blackjack in their car and get all the losing hands out of the way or something. I was like, what the hell?
Dude.
Yeah, but that's why like when Kata is talking about all this side bet stuff, I just think of that as gambling.
But what is the delusion that Kata is under exactly?
Well, it depends. Like if he's just doing it because it's fun, obviously that's not a delusion. But
Right.
if he's like, yo, bro, the ciders are where you make the real money,
Yeah.
If he's saying like, you should put a minimum bet on the table, but then maximize your bet on the side bets because that's where you win your real money. Well, there's a reason that side bets pay, 50 to 1, 100 to
Right.
1.
Because they're so unlikely.
Yes, because
Yeah.
they hit every 250 times or
Right.
even more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So does Venus know? Like Venus, what delusion is Kata under? I guess he's not here.
He's probably under
Be un-
several.
He's probably under the illusion
Wait,
that
were
you
you
can.
asking?
Oh,
Well, like-
Were you
go,
asking
Chad.
me?
Yeah, what explains why Kata is constantly losing money?
Well, he's probably like drunk. Like,
Yeah,
Oh, he's
that's
time
another one.
goes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
People who make millions card counting have these like entire strategies where they'll get a beer and they'll go to the restroom and pour it out and fill it up with water. Like it's insane, bro. They like wear disguises that have like
Why
inside
would they do
jokes
that?
about huh?
Why would they do the water beer thing?
Because if a casino thinks that you're a gambler, they're likely to not pay attention to you. So
A
if you
gambler?
look, yeah,
There's signs of being a gambler, opposed to like you actually knowing what you're doing.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like I didn't come to this casino to play the best game I know how to play with all of my knowledge. I came here to have a good time, man.
Right. They're not
Yeah,
focusing on that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See,
I
look,
mean,
look at that.
but don't they have AI now? Auto tracking?
I mean, sure, but like, why would that matter? Well,
Because it
in the
wouldn't matter.
casino
Because
I
it wouldn't
worked in,
matter if you have the appearance of a drunk guy getting there because they'll see it as soon as you get good and
I mean,
stop you.
but like they're not like if obviously they're gonna look at the relevant features. This guy has this guy has like a drink. He's just having fun. He's getting a little lucky. I mean, that's just gonna be typical in a
Yeah,
casino.
people win in casinos all the time, or they
Right?
wouldn't
Like
go.
that's expected.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just going in there, you look sober, you look professional, you start winning. Oh, they're definitely gonna pay attention to you. Like,
And then let's say they see like a bunch of face cards come out, right? And then all of a sudden you lower your bet, and then the same amount of face cards come out, and all of a sudden you lower your bet by the same unit. Okay, well, I mean they just know that you're likely counting, and then at that point it just becomes like, is it worth the public spectacle of like doing something about it? And you know that depends a lot about how big the casino is, how much their bottom line is for what they're willing to lose.
Yeah, I used to work at a casino,
Really?
and yeah,
That's awesome. What did you deal?
no, what I did was I pulled the money out of the slot machines, and
Oh,
then
nice.
took care of the poker chips. Yeah, so I was basically the counter in the back rooms that you would see in like the little drug movies. And basically, that's what I did. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, but yeah, they went in on that.
Jack and Venus, you guys know a great gambler who wins a lot of money. Goes by the name of Seamus, right? Seamus like made millions, right?
I don't know. He's probably like lying about a lot of stuff.
Because he's
I do know that 99.99% of gamblers quit right before they're about to score huge. That's what
Right.
happened.
Don't be the 1%, guys. Always.
Exactly. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Okay.
I know, right?
And also, 99.99% of claw machine addicts quit right before they're about to win a little guy.
Are you using AI, Zach?
To count cards? No. I'm
You
just using.
You a card counter too?
Yeah. What do you mean? Am I using AI? What was that question about then?
In general, with like agential AI.
Oh no, I don't use AI a lot except to like generate my like thumbnails for YouTube and stuff. That's it.
Tough. Wait, I kind of want to learn how to count cards now.
It's super easy. Like, okay, I can actually just in 30 seconds I can give you a little rundown.
All right.
Okay, so it's a zero it's like a zero set counting system. It's called high-low. So the deck starts at 0 and it will return to 0 no matter what, okay? So
Okay.
10 through ace, right?
Does
You
that
subtract 1. And the idea there is 10 valued cards and aces favor the player. So when those get dealt out, there's less of them left, and so that's bad. So the count goes down.
okay?
2 through 6, when those cards get dealt out, there's less of cards that are bad for the player left to be dealt, so that's good. So those are +1. Okay? 7, 8, and 9 are 0. Okay? And it just so happens that you have the same amount of +1s as -1s. So if you're dealing out a deck of cards and keeping a running count in your head, well, let's say you get to the last card and your count is at -1. What will make -1 0? +1. So you know that the last card remaining is a 2 through 6. Okay, let's say that your count is +1 and you have 1 card left. Well, okay, I would need a -1 card to make it back to 0. Okay, well then this last card is a 10 through ace. Okay, let's say my count is at 0 and I have 1 card left. Well, 0 would make it 0. So this last card is either a 7 or an 8 or a 9.
Oh, because
Oh.
all the cards return back to.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
then,
that is
so
smart as shit.
yeah. Okay, and then what you do, right? Obviously, you need to learn perfect basic strategy. But then you keep your running count, right? And let's say that there are 6 decks of cards to be dealt in one blackjack shoe. Okay, and let's say I have a running count. Let's say I have a running count of 10. Sorry, let's say I have a running count of 9. Okay, and we're about halfway through. Now you take your running count, which is 9, and you divide it by the number of decks remaining to be dealt. Okay, so that would be 9 divided by 3. That would bring our true count to 3. And you make a bet spread that changes based on what the true count is. So that way you're betting more money when you're a likely winner and less money when you're a likely loser.
Now I'm interested. You know where I can like look into this stuff?
Yeah, I can send you some YouTube channels.
Let's
go!
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to the casino later and try to stop.
Go!
Yo, Zach, I need that too.
Okay, yo, let's go.
To the casino later and try
Let's
to
have a
stop.
team. Let's make a team.
Yeah, we can make the H team.
That'll be fire. Wait, did you watch that one movie with the
21. Yes, of course.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, I know you've seen it. I've known you. I know it's the one with the door number 1, door number 2, door number 3.
The Monty Hall problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know Kevin Spacey's in it.
Yeah, the diddler.
Well, I said he was creepy way before it was cool. So.
The diddler.
No, I actually, maybe I've seen it, but it's been a long time.
It's free on YouTube now, actually.
Somebody heard me talking about this one time, and they DM'd me saying that they got banned from their local casino for counting, and yeah, and I was like, oh well, and then they said a question that made me think it was like a very like low tier question, and I was like, well, that question makes me think that you weren't actually counting cards for that long before you got banned, and they said. Yeah, I watched the movie 21 and I learned from there, and then I got banned.
Wait, did you ask them how much money did they
Wait,
win?
they don't teach you how to count cards at 20.
Yeah, well, even if they do, counting cards is only one step. If you're like, let's say this. Let's say Hatim, let's say you get dealt a 16 and the dealer's showing a face card. Are you hitting or standing or doubling down or surrendering? Yeah.
I think I hit 16.
You do hit 16 always.
Yeah.
If you're not a card counter, you always hit 16s.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but people will feel like, they'll feel like, well, this person hit a 16. Oh, this guy before me, he had like a a 7. And he took a lot of low cards, so the next card's probably going to be a high card. So I don't want to hit this one. But there's one and only one correct decision, right? It's not. Yeah, right. So even if they teach you how to count cards, that's not going to teach you number 1, perfect basic strategy. 2, running count. 2, true count conversion from running count. 3, your bet spread, and then 4, your deviations, which say. If you have a 16 and the dealer showing a 10 and the running count is positive 1 or more, then you stand on 16, you deviate from perfect basic strategy, and you don't hit.
Yep.
Right.
I understand all of that.
Yeah, let's say the dealer is showing an ace and they offer you insurance. Do you take it ever?
Insurance?
Insurance, yeah.
Fuck is that?
Right? If you're a gambler, you do not take insurance. Now, if you're a counter and the count is above a true 3 or higher, then you do take insurance because it will likely pay off and you'll win money.
What's insurance? What is that?
Insurance is when you wager half your bet that the dealer has blackjack, and if you win, you win half your bet, which is equal to you pushing instead of losing your full bet.
Okay. I had a question. If moral realism is true, does that mean subjectivism is
You do not
false?
want
If
to
moral
hear
realism is
that.
true?
Yes. Well, I mean, it would just. I mean, any view that
Yes.
denies that there exists stance-independent moral facts would just be false.
Yeah, because there are at least one.
Exactly.
But I'm not sure if they would be saying they're denying it because I hear
What?
because when somebody says that they're like an appraiser relativist, they're just saying what I mean by good, what I mean by
That's
bad.
metaphor.
I guess that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But they would just be ultimately denying that there are stance-independent normative truths.
I'm not sure if they would be, right? Because
they are.
They are, because the facts would be relative to the agent or relative to a particular.
Yeah, it's like basically if we could sub in synonyms for, instead of appraiser relativism, stance haver relativism, right?
Right. What I'm trying to say is, couldn't somebody say, okay, well, what I mean by this term is, what's in accordance and in alignment to my, stances.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't any stance-independent facts, right? Couldn't somebody say that?
Well, yeah, but then that person, it wouldn't be appropriate to call them an appraiser relativist. They might be something else. But if you believe that there exists at least one stance-independent moral fact,
No,
then,
not that you believe that there is, but you can think it's possible, but you're not convinced that there is. But right now, you may be saying something like, right now, what I mean by that, when I use these terms, this is what I mean.
You just mean that they're in align with that of your stances?
Yes.
Even if there might be a stance-independent fact?
There could be stance-independent facts, moral facts.
Even if there could be, that's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true about you right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. But okay, I mean, if someone's saying that, that's not necessarily denying realism, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
things
That just sounds true. Like, that just sounds true of every view. Like, more realists
That's just
would
right,
agree
that
that there
sounds true of
could
every
be.
view.
Yeah. More realists would say that, of course, there could be no single stance-independent moral fact. And then, subjectivists would just say, like, of course, there could be a stance-independent moral fact. But I just don't think it's likely, or I don't navigate the world as if there is.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Lamborghini
Go ahead,
Mercy.
team. Are you not a realist?
Am I not a realist?
Yeah.
Too many negatives.
I don't know. I'm kind of agnostic. I would say I'm agnostic.
Usually,
Right now, I kind of use
What's up, man?
anti-realist language, but I'm not sure if there is any like substantive dispute between like some realist models.
Why be a realist if you have a hot girlfriend?
I mean,
I don't even know what the fuck that means.
I think he's saying like, if it's the case that you do have a hot girlfriend, why would you be a realist?
well, I mean,
Point.
Yeah.
well, you see, then you can say that your hot girlfriend is stance independently hot.
No. That's an aesthetic claim, not a moral claim.
Well, I'm also an aesthetic realist type shit. So
Yo, doesn't it suck that aesthetic deism is false? Doesn't it suck that aesthetic deism is false?
no, aesthetic deism is not false.
It's false.
No, it's not.
Global skepticism follows.
No, it doesn't.
Evidentiary argument against naturalism, but for aesthetic deism. If our reasoning faculties are designed for beauty or a good story rather than truth, then we could be deceived. Go ahead.
Why would we be deceived? Why would I accept that you can be deceived?
Oh, why are you asking me a fucking question?
Because I'm gonna ask a clarifying question of the question. Nice one.
Yeah, you're asking me
Jack,
why
if
would
you-
the deist God that designed this aesthetic world allow us to be deceived?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know the psychology of God. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, if you don't know the psychology, how can you make the claim? Nice one.
But shut up.
Easy.
Easy.
But
But
here's kind of like
Jack,
my
did
question.
you?
What I was trying to
Wait,
tackle with my
wait,
question.
Venus, what did you say? Sorry, team.
I was gonna just ask Jack, but you guys can finish this about the realism. Then
Okay.
we can go back to the psychophysical harmony stuff.
The
Yeah,
PPH. Sometimes my PPHs.
yeah. You need to stop
I
letting
really
people come
don't.
inside your
I really
house.
don't like PPH.
Yeah.
Anyways, the point I was trying to get at is like it doesn't seem like when people define morality when they're talking about realism versus anti-realism that it's even defined in the same way. So if it's defined in different ways, then I don't see how it can be colliding with each other. You know what I mean?
If you're just trying to shoe in that you think that all philosophical disputes are semantic, then
No, I'm trying to remember the first question I asked. I said, "Can somebody hold both views, or are they contrastive to each other?" You said yes, or something
they
like
are
that.
contrastive. You cannot hold both views at the same time, but you can be softly committed to one and not staunchly against the other, or very, very loyally committed to one, but not denying the possibility of the other. Obviously,
But if they mean different things by the term, why couldn't you hold both at the same time?
well, I don't think they mean different things by the like things like stance and things like dependent and things like independent and things like fact. I don't think they mean
Okay.
different things by those things.
Right, I don't think they mean different. I think they take the nature of those things to be different, which is
Yeah.
what's the substantive dispute.
What I'm saying is, if somebody says, "Well, what I mean by morally good or morally bad is just what's in accordance to my view," that's going to be different than saying, "Oh, what I mean by morally good and what I bad is that there's some instance independent fact of the world." Those are different definitions. I don't see why somebody couldn't hold them simultaneously.
They're contradictory.
What's the contradiction?
Yeah, stance dependent and stance independent. So here's the contradiction. It's the case that there are stance dependent moral facts, and it's not the case that there are stance independent moral facts. I said dependent first, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but you can't derive that from what I said.
I
Wait,
think it's what?
wait, what did you say, Hatim? You
You
said
can't
like with
derive
accordance.
what you just said from what I said because I'm not negating that. Somebody can say there are some stance independent facts. Somebody else could say that there are some non stance independent facts. So I don't know how you can say there is or there isn't, but there might be and there might be not, but not in the same sense. So
I don't know what you're
Yeah.
saying, bro.
But wait, didn't you just say all by what you mean by morally bad and morally good is that it accords to that of your stances? Is that what you said?
So yeah, somebody can define moral good and moral badness in that sense.
But it's
And
not
that's not
like
going to
these debates are not about definitions, though.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
I take a fact to be one of two things standardly: a state of affairs or a true proposition.
be okay.
Yeah, so
Like what Venus said, this isn't a debate upon definitions. Like no one in the space disagrees with the definitions. I think they widely accept it. What's in dispute is the nature of the rightness and wrongness
yeah,
that people are talking about.
Okay, well, I'm not. I'm just asking questions about what I specifically asked. You may be discussing something else that I'm not asking about.
Yeah, okay.
And that's
Don't let me dunk on
always
you, man. I'm
that's
6'6",
always
250.
that's always a worry. We're talking past each other. But usually these debates are not about meaning, unless you're talking to analytical naturalists. But even analytical naturalists agree that there's a shared meaning. They just think that they can work their way to like
yeah, they can
redefining the
like
terms.
convergence, right?
Yeah.
On true
Yeah,
meanings.
I forgot how they. I mean, Railton. I think his name is Rail. I think his name is Railton.
Yeah,
And I think also, what there was like another one. Yeah, Jackson. I think Jackson and Railton are big proponents of like analytical views. But even they think that you work your way to like a redefinition. It's not a matter of like this is what I mean, this is what you mean.
Right.
But that's what I hear Mason and Monkey Boy talk when they talk about ethics. It's like, well,
Mason and Monkey Boy are idiots.
Like,
they're like, well, it's just what I mean by the term. Just like what I mean by the term, good and bad is just what is in accordance.
Yeah, but they're just describing like the appraiser relativist position, but so
Right.
what?
Yeah, but how can somebody be like, well, that's false? What do you mean that's false? It's just
Yeah,
what I mean.
because okay, you're saying that like curb stomping a dog is bad because that sentence is semantically identical to I'd prefer it if people didn't curb stomp dogs, and they're
Yes.
saying that your preference it's wrong independent of your preference.
Okay, then they're talking about a different sense of the term.
Yeah, they're saying you're
Am I wrong about that? Are they using a different sense of the
I
term?
think
Yes or no?
yes.
Okay, so they're talking past me. They're not using the same
No.
meaning. You can't say I'm wrong about what I mean and then say, well, actually this word is supposed to mean, and then you're using a different term. Doesn't make any sense.
you can't be wrong. You can't be wrong about what you mean. Yeah, we're just saying like usually in the metaethical debates, the meanings are supposed to be shared,
Yeah.
and so when somebody goes
Right.
into
And
definitions,
that's what I'm saying. It
they're
doesn't
just
seem like it
confused.
is shared. It doesn't seem like it is shared. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but why?
With like Monkey Boy and Mason, or like in the literature.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, how can somebody say, well, you're wrong when you're saying that what is right and wrong is what's in accordance to your stances or to your preferences or whatever. How can somebody say you're wrong about that? That doesn't seem
No, they
coherent.
can't. You can't be wrong. You can't be wrong about what you mean, but you could be wrong in the sense that you're just not talking about like what everybody else is talking about. That is engaging in
Okay.
metaethical disputes.
Well, then that's going to be like an empirical claim.
Huh? Well, but I assume that your goal in some of these conversations is to like, and I'm actually precogging right now that you might do a Mason move where you say, my goal isn't to motivate you to think what I think, but I think that is your goal at some point, right?
Sometimes, but I don't think when it comes to morality that there's most of the time it's going to be fruitful, and especially when it comes to like fundamental values and stuff like that.
Well, that's probably true of all philosophy.
Yeah.
Well, some philosophical disputes are not going to be. Oh yeah, you're right.
It
Actually,
just seems like, are you just like appealing to some futility?
well, I'm just saying like I kind of get tired of when people are talking past each other and like saying things like when oh, this is what I mean by morality, that they're wrong. Like, it doesn't make sense for somebody to say that. Like, I'm kind of sick and tired of people doing that.
Well, they're
Like,
not saying
that's
they're
not
not
what
saying
morality is.
they're not saying that you're wrong about what you mean. They're saying that they think that you're wrong about what the meaning is, quote unquote, or something like
It
that.
doesn't
The
make any
nature.
sense.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what the meaning is? I think meaning is derived from intent.
Yeah, they're probably saying like your intent or the nature of.
Well, he's talking about a
views around.
convention.
So we're. I don't think. Okay, wait. Maybe it's not necessarily the meaning itself that they're saying is wrong, but rather the background commitments that lead you to the conclusion of the meaning that you derive from rightness and wrongness. Maybe that's what they're saying is wrong.
Wow.
But they wanna say that there's. I think they typically want to say there's a common concept.
Right. Because, like, I don't think anyone disagrees with the semantics with rightness and wrongness. It's probably the background commitments that you have of these terms.
And there's meta-ethicists who are skeptical that there is a common concept.
Oh,
Yeah, like some people.
Yeah, but those
think
guys are
that-
idiots. I mean, they're just gibbering.
but wait, Jack. Standardly, though, it's held that there isn't
Thank you.
any like skepticism on people holding these concepts. Like it's like people share the concepts
No,
of
you're
rightness.
right that most of the debate. I think you're right that most of the debate has proceeded under the assumption that there is a unified concept, and so then the question is that thing, really picking out something in the world or not, or something like that. But there are these people who have challenged that assumption.
Okay.
Yo, Zach, regarding that, regarding those channels about gambling, do they also teach safety precautions and how not to get caught while counting cards and etc.?
Yeah, but there's not really a lot that you can. What you do to not get caught is, um, you kind of minimize the breadth of your bet spread, and you move around to a lot of different casinos. But there are things that you have to do in order to be profitable as a card counter, and I mean the casinos know what those things are. So if they see you, like doubling down on a 10 versus a dealer's 10, right? And then they watch back the footage after they say check your play, and it turns out that the true count is a 4 or higher, a true 4 or higher, then they're just going to know that either this is a coincidence or you're counting. The likelihood that it's a coincidence is low. The likelihood that you're counting, isn't that high, but it's higher than you just randomly, taking insurance every time there's a true 3, doubling down a 10 every time it's a true 4, not hitting on 16 every time it's above a running 1, things like that.
Shit.
Always betting table minimum when it's a 0 or lower. If it's in a negative count, yeah. Anytime it's a positive true 1 or higher, increasing your bet from table minimum to a certain unit of measurement above table minimum, things like that.
Hey, Jackson, are you there?
Yeah.
I was thinking about the Eric reply that he gave the other day, but it's just struck me as obvious that then there isn't such a thing as these harmonious worlds.
That may
If it's
be.
the case that
Go ahead.
yeah, if it's the case that you ought to avoid the behavior only if you can avoid the behavior, then in the worlds where the law set it up that whenever you're in pain, you put your hand more on the stove, there isn't something wrong being done there or unfortunate being done there or, normatively out of accords being done there, right? Because in the initial case where you just ought to do avoidance behavior, the unfortunate thing is you have an obligation that you cannot meet. But in this harmonious world, there is just no obligation.
Right. Well, so what I asked Eric was,
But do you get the point that I'm making?
I'm thinking it through. So what I asked Eric was, are you saying that there is pain at that world but not suffering? And he said yes. Right? But since suffering is what provides a reason, it's not pain that provides a reason, right? It's suffering that provides a reason. So if you don't have a reason, then I guess that's what you're saying, then you aren't failing. You can only fail with respect to reasons. So if you don't actually have a reason, you're not failing. Now, what he wanted to say, so I think you're making a version of the same point that I was trying to make. But now, I guess what he wanted to say is that they should have a reason. I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth, because he might, maybe this is misunderstanding him. So I'm sort of speculating here as to what I think he's trying to say. I think he's trying to say something like, they should have a reason. You see what I mean? Because the idea would be something like this. Look, you should avoid things that cause you harm. Right? So, like, if you didn't think that there was anything wrong with, like, just chopping off your hands, right, you're making some kind of mistake because it's just, it's just not good for you to chop off your hands, right? But I guess, I assume that's just, for me, that's just going to be cashed out in some internal way. And so what are the reasons that are being appealed to here, right? Like, why should somebody care about pain if they aren't suffering? You could say, oh, because sounds like the mismatch he wants to say, right? You know, because when they're saying there's like, in this counterpart world, there's some kind of mismatch. The idea is supposed to be, well, aren't we lucky that the things that we find unpleasant are the things that harm us, right? But then harm is being independently characterized from unpleasant, right? So,
Yeah.
but the problem is, we have, that seems like a different type of like fact to be explained than the one that they're talking
That
about.
harmony.
Yeah, they're saying, well, why is it that we happen to be in a world that things that conduce to, let's say, you having a short longevity, right, are the things that we find avoidant, or that we find, unpleasant or something like that, that induce avoidance behavior in us. But that's not what what I'm understanding the normative harmony point to be, right? It's why is it that we find the things, we have behavioral responses that conform to what we find undesirable, right? So it just seems like he's sort of like raising a explanatory worry about a different phenomenon. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But because the initial thing was supposed to be, what's bad about this harmony is obligation cannot be met.
Right.
But if you change this to this,
There's
like,
no obligation. Yeah.
there's no obligation not being met.
Yeah. I mean,
In fact,
Eric is
exactly this
very
harmonies-
Eric is very smart, so he probably would have good pushback. But this is where I got sort of confused, and unfortunately, I had to go, I think. Yeah, I was at a concert. That's right. So I couldn't pursue it. But that's sort of where I was. I guess where I was going with my asking him for clarification seems to be the same place that you were going.
Yeah. Well, I think I want to write a paper against this, but I probably want to make more obligations.
Well, I
more,
think this point about ought implies can is really fruitful. I don't know if other people
Yeah, I
have
think
made
so
the
too.
point. And then as far as the semantic harmony, I think the point about systematically false beliefs violating like a Davidsonian constraint or something along those lines. It doesn't even have to be a Davidsonian. It could be like a hinge. You probably could appeal to more than one epistemological framework to reject that. So that seems like another good response. So we should talk
but it's
through.
not an epistemic. It's not an epistemic.
No, but
the
my
semantic
point
was
is
supposed to be-
is that what
Yeah.
it entails is systematically false belief, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that seems to be something that violates certain epistemologies. On certain epistemologies, there can't be systematically false belief, right? On a Davidsonian epistemology, on a pragmatist epistemology, on a hinge epistemology, right? You can't have systematically false belief. So I think that's a good answer there. So we need to talk through the epistemic one, because that I wonder if there's a good response to that.
Yeah. I want to write something out because nobody has bothered, and everybody's kind of like going around saying it's a good argument.
Yeah, it infuriates me.
I mean,
I actually like Brian Cutter. I was very impressed with him in the exchange with Poppy. I thought he came off as like extremely smart and very charitable. He didn't seem like an asshole at all. So I actually really do like him. But I do think the argument should be like treat it a lot more critically than it is.
Yeah, I agree. I just have a lot of time in my hand because
You're not working.
the EAN, yeah, and the EAN paper got published.
Oh, the EAN paper got
So, like,
published.
that's in-
When is that coming
yeah.
out?
So,
But I have I have a
it's
copy
in-
of the final revision, right?
I can send you the.
Send me a
the ones
copy
that's
of the
uploaded.
final. Yeah, send me a copy of the final revision because I want to read your paper.
When you ask when it's coming, I mean it's already out, but I asking like when it's in the.
Oh, if it's already out.
quarterly journal?
No, if it's already out. You mean you're saying that on your fill papers or something, somebody can.
Yeah, it's
right.
Yeah, it's already there.
Oh, it's already there.
in Philosophia.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Okay. Yeah. So Well, send it to me anyway. I mean, I can go find
I'll
it
send it
myself.
to
but
you.
yeah, because I want to read
But that's
your
like a
paper.
knockdown. That's like a complete knockdown of the EAN. That's like
Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
it's way better
to
than
s-
anything out.
It'll be interesting to see Moon and McNabb. Are they the biggest names now that are running the EAN? They're the biggest ones.
Yeah.
What is Perry Hendricks? Does he run the EAN? Because he's very pro reform. He seems to have like views that are aligned with most of Reformed epistemology. But I don't know if I've heard him talk about the EAN.
Well, he has the paper with Godless Go. But you mean that's more of like a
you're
defense.
right. You're right. And in fact, yeah. But I guess right. So I guess he disagrees that this is a good objection to God. But I guess I don't know why. But I haven't read the paper. So I mean, I know the argument because I've read, DGH's blog on it. But I don't know why Perry Hendricks rejects it. So yeah, it's interesting. Okay. I forgot about that.
But yeah, I think this psychophysical harmony stuff should be put to. It should be. But was the stuff from Detroit that could also work against this? Right?
Yeah, Detroyer thinks that his objection works against psychophysical harmony. That it's got the same problem that in order to generate this kind of higher probability, you have to lower the prior probability of the hypothesis, and so it's just going to cancel out.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And also the likelihood stuff is also just going to be intuition based, which
Yeah, well, that's
is not
another
a-
thing.
of
Yeah,
epistemic-
that's
yeah.
another issue that fewer people seem to talk about. Although I guess, broadly speaking, that is Oppie's view, right? Because that's kind of like why Oppie doesn't opt for Swinburne's approach, because he thinks you just pull out priors out of thin air on a Bayesian. Yeah. And so if he wants to do worldview comparison, that's not going to be the right way.
There was a thing I used to say like 6-7 years ago, like Bayesianism is just pulling things out of your ass, but
Right. I think I did too.
So that's why I never engaged.
Yeah.
So that's why I never engaged with it. But now everybody.
It's all the
wanna go
rage
Bayesian.
now. Yeah, it's all the rage.
Yeah. Because I wasn't taken seriously back like 6-7 years. Back then, people ran abductive arguments,
Exactly, yeah.
and yeah.
That's why I think it's a little disappointing, that it makes me think that people like Joe Schmidt are just sort of creatures of fashion. Like they're just easily swayed by what is popular in the field. You know what I mean? Like they shouldn't be so easily swayed by the fact that it's popular in the field. They should have more skepticism about the field,
Yeah, by field you mean philosophy of religion.
Philosophy of religion, yeah. But I mean, I think
Yeah,
it's
which is
probably
already-
true I don't know that it's true in everything, but there are a lot of other areas of philosophy where I think I've seen this happen, like metaphysics and, yeah, in a lot of areas, like
Bayesianism.
yeah.
Bayesianism?
Well, not Bayesian specifically, but just that there's like these fashions that things become very fashionable that are not really well motivated,
Oh, like like 2D semantics and panpsychism.
Well, I wouldn't want to take a position on those. I mean, with respect to 2D semantics, I don't know enough about it. With respect to panpsychism, I guess I agree that panpsychism is not well motivated. So maybe
Do you
yes.
think it's a crazy view?
No, I don't think it's a crazy view, but I think it's just not a well motivated one. Because basically,
Yeah.
because what Strawson says, I mean, I don't know what people like Goff say, right? But what Strawson says is, well, it's easier to start. He just wants to say the combination problem is a less hard problem than emergence or something, right? And I just think, well, isn't that just an intuition? You know? Like why would somebody have to think that, you know? That just seems like an intuition.
Yeah, I mean, usually I don't know what he uses for the main motivation, but like Chalmers has like the 2D semantic conceivability argument, which he thinks gets you either to property dualism or psychophysical or panpsychism.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that argument is supposed to be like cogent.
Well, I think I might be more sympathetic to that. Because I'm not a physicalist, so I'm kind of like I tend to be sympathetic to the anti-physicalist arguments, but just panpsychism specifically, I'm not sure why that's like better than some other option, you know, some other non-physicalist.
Yeah,
option.
I see what you mean.
We lost everybody.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the same view as Russellian monism, right? Well, at least Chalmers thinks
Sure,
it is, but
I'm not sure.
I was on Clubhouse earlier, and it seems like Himati like left for good, and Sasha left for good. So it's just like Albedo and Andrew are what around now.
Really?
Yeah. What's going on, Eagle Logic?
Hey, what's up? How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Do you remember me?
No. What was your name?
I think, yeah, same name. I think we spoke on Clubhouse.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
I think we're both Moroccans, if you remember. But anyway.
Oh, I'm Moroccan too.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts?
What do you guys think about what do you guys think about ichtheism? Do you find it to be a better position than atheism?
What? By the way, I sent you the paper, Jack.
Thank you.
The ones on the journal.
Thank you very much.
It's a quick read.
Okay.
What's the view you asked about evil?
Ichtheism.
What's that?
It's like agnosticism. It's like different than agnosticism. It's with I instead of A.
Oh, is it like
it's just
sentences about God?
Yeah, it's just the idea that the word God is ill-defined to be discussed in the first place. It's like a meaningless word.
Oh, I see. So it's like non-cognitivism.
Yep.
About theism. I see. I don't know if I would favor such a view.
You don't have any thoughts on that?
Nah, maybe Jack does.
I mean, I don't know that a lot important turns on it. Like if you think that what theists are talking about is like incoherent, then I guess you could say that it's you're you're not you're not so much an atheist as somebody who denies that an incoherent thing exists, right?
Mhm.
But it just seems like it's not really a very important distinction.
Okay.
Sure, if you want to say, what do they even mean? Aren't they just talking about square triangles, right? Then it's tantamount to being an atheist, right? If you're saying that. Now, I mean, I guess if you think, well, God could exist, um, it's just improbable that he does. Then I guess you wouldn't want to say that.
Mm-hmm.
If God couldn't exist, right? Then, I mean, because there's different ways to be an atheist, right? You could say, oh, I think God is self-contradictory. You might think, well, he's not so much self-contradictory as that he's like unintelligible, right? Because you might think um, like say, what the hell does it mean to be identical to one's properties, or what does it mean to be pure act, or what is it? There's all these like,
Right.
what does it mean to be a being that is only analogically is an agent, or only analogically has a mind, right? Where the analogies don't bottom out. Well, then it sounds like you're not so much saying that it's incoherent as that it's like totally unclear, right? And so that's another way to be an atheist, right? So I'm totally sympathetic to that, but it just seems like either way, you're like pretty close to what's meant by an atheist in most contexts, right? Where it seems like there could be a difference is if you just think, well, God could exist, right? I understand what they're talking about. I just think the evidence is against it, right? Then maybe then you are sort of saying something that seems more substantive.
Sure, fair enough. Because to be honest, I don't know what anyone would mean by a mind if it's not in the universe. Because to my understanding, a mind would be a biological product, right? Evolutionary byproduct, right? So by definition, it would be something in the observable universe. To talk about a mind without it being in the universe seems like kind of like equivocation, if that makes sense. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they would probably need to substitute the word mind with another word.
But saying it's incoherent is different than saying it doesn't have any content. But maybe ichtheism, some people mean either or by ichtheism.
Right, they could mean either or.
And what's your view on the universe? Do you guys think the universe is eternal, or
I don't have a view.
okay?
It seems like an empirical matter that isn't settled by contemporary physics.
Mm-hmm.
But Jack, did the view of quasi-realism ever make sense to you?
Say that again.
I asked, does the view of quasi-realism ever make sense to you?
No, I've never understood it.
What's more puzzling is the relaxed realism. What's the difference between that and quasi-realism is supposed to be?
I couldn't tell you, but you might want to ask like Evan or Mustafa.
Yeah, I guess those people are like obsessed with obsessed with this stuff.
Yeah.
I always just thought that the view was supposed just to be that like non-cognitivism, but apparently like they want to say that like moral sentences are true.
Yeah, I've never been.
You can work yourself to making them
able to
true.
understand that.
I'm gonna go for a bit. Are you gonna be on later?
Yeah, I should be around. I'm gonna be gone for like 2 hours because I'm gonna be in a concert that starts in about
Right.
50 minutes. But then after that, I should be free.
All right, cool. I'll see you then.
All right, see you later.
There should be like 3 for me. Yeah,
All
take
right,
care.
all right, see you later.